first
King Arthur.
episode of Fucked Up Fables, I thought we could cover the most well-known legendary figure in recorded history. So this story has everything. Are you guys ready? We got dragons, we got magic, we got some knights, a war, prophecy, giants, watery tarts, the rise of a kingdom. You ready?
And all kinds of fuckery.
Yes,
and a lot of bad decisions.
God, so many bad decisions.
Most of them are not actually done by him, but anyways, the one from future king, King Arthur of Camelot, is where we will go. So I know that the title is Fucked Up Fables, but I did put a content warning on here because there is some really not graphic, but there is some stuff. So content warning for instances of rape, incest, themes of war, beheadings, and death.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Yep. Big trigger warning.
Yeah.
Big,
also,
large, flashing sign trigger warning.
Yeah. I mean, most of it's minor, but I was like, I'll just throw it on there anyways. So then the books about Arthur and Camelot are numerous and were turned into books after the oral stories had been told for a while. So there might be some events that happen differently, or like characters that you know by a different name or don't know at all with it. So if you have any questions, just holler. I'll let you know what's going on with it. And it's fun to see like what people know, like the version of the story that they know, because some things are drastically different. So are you ready?
Yes.
Two thumbs up. All right. So here we go. So
I'm used to video meetings where I'm muted. It's just
right. You're just like, yeah, nod. All right. So the story of King Arthur actually starts before he was born. I'm going to be as quick as I can working through his family history, but I feel it is important to have a bit of background on just how shitty Arthur's family life was growing up. So
yay, Uther, shitty family life.
So Uther is the youngest son of King Britannia. His eldest brother, Constance, takes the throne when their father is killed and rules for a bit before he is assassinated by his advisor, Vortigern. Uther and his brother, Aurelius, run away in order to stay alive, as any smart prince would do when their father's been assassinated. When they've grown up, they return to find that Vortigern has made an alliance with the Saxons, and let's just say it didn't go so well for Britain. So, as with all proper rebellions, they light Vortigern and the castle on fire and let it burn to the ground. Fuck you.
Burn it, burn it, burn it.
I mean, don't burn it.
It's already burned. They're like,
save it. We don't want to burn things, Rachel.
They're just going to move to the next kingdom. It's fine.
Fire. It's fun.
So Aurelius is now king, and he asks Uther to bring Stonehenge to him because Merlin said so.
Like the whole of Stonehenge?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the thing where each block weighs like 2.5 tons and required a long time to make.
Yep. Stonehenge. Yep.
Deassembled, moved, and then reassembled?
Yep, all because Merlin said so.
Merlin's a douche. A lot of work.
Well, I mean, if a wizard tells you to do something, it's kind of like a god. You don't really say no.
Did he think this through? That's all I'm saying. And was he done in
Probably
his life?
Not.
Because...
Well, we're going to find out how this goes, all right? So Merlin asks him, and Uther is like, sure, bro, I can do that. So he marches out with Aurelius' army to do this and meets up with Merlin because Merlin told him to do this and then just randomly appears while he's on the way and just like, yo, dog, what's up? Thanks, Merlin. Merlin
if
just
he can teleport. Why doesn't he teleport Stonehenge?
Merlin just likes to pop in randomly and be helpful and shit, but his prophecies are disastrous and normally ended death. So, not so great, Merlin. Unknown to Uther, Aurelius is really sick. So one night during their journey, Uther sees a shooting star, and Merlin tells him that it is a sign his brother is dead and that he is the rightful king, as it was meant to be all along. Gee, Merlin, what great news. Thanks. During this wonderful moment, Uther and the army encounter Vortigern's son, Pascient, and his army of Saxons, because what good son doesn't want revenge for a pompous country boy burning his dad alive? Let's just say, like his father, Pascient doesn't survive the battle. With this victory, Uther declares that they should return home and takes the name Pendragon. Takes the name Pendragon and nod to the comet he saw that apparently looked like a dragon. Sure, Uther, whatever works for you. They get home and find that Aurelius wasn't just sick, he was poisoned. And just like Merlin predicted, Uther is crowned king. His ceremony ends with a grand feast, and the lords from all over come. Enter Igraine, Duke Gorlias's beautiful wife. Of course, Uther wants her, and Merlin thinks he shouldn't. So this is how I imagine that this conversation goes. Uther, I want to tap that. Merlin.
I think we need better language here. I think it'd be, I want to tap thou, I want to tap thee. How's that work? We need some medieval language here.
Nope, just
thou shouldst tap my winch.
Uther, I want to tap that. Merlin, she's married. Uther, I'm king. She should be with me. Merlin, divorce doesn't exist yet. Uther, I should kill him and take his wife. But first, I gotta make sure she's good in bed. Merlin, help me. Merlin, I've got nothing better to do, so why the fuck not? That's how that goes. You can't tell me I'm wrong. All right, so Merlin disguises Uther as Gorlias, and he enters the keep where Igraine is while his army is laying siege to another of the duke's castles. Must be nice to be rich and have multiple castles. So he gets to sleep with Igraine, and boom, that's how babies are made. Enter Arthur. Glorious is killed by Uther's men, and Uther would later marry Igraine to strengthen the kingdom like the stand-up guy he is. I made you preggo with my baby while still married to your husband, then killed him, so now you have to marry me.
Yay, medieval England.
Because
women's rights,
how it works.
Yep. But because Arthur is a bastard child, and we are living in a world where weird laws about lines of succession, but magic and time-traveling wizards are okay, Arthur is whisked away to live a more mundane life with Sir Ector in the country. I also really like how I said that I would make it quick, and that definitely was not quick.
It was kind of quick. It wasn't very long.
All right, fast forward 15 years, and Uther is still a shitty king who's trying to conquer the world. He had another child with Igraine, named Morgause, who is sold off to marry a king elsewhere. Don't worry, she comes back. So Arthur is home. Uther rides off to battle while sick because he's dumb as fuck and thinks he somehow can survive a fucking battle while deathly ill. Spoiler alert, Uther doesn't survive. And because he has no heir, because Arthur is a bastard, the kingdom is thrown into shambles.
Of course.
One day, Arthur is doing whatever it is that he does, squiring some knight or something, and he stumbles upon this stone with a sword sticking out. Since he didn't grow up here, and because Merlin is a terrible teacher, he has no idea that there is a prophecy attached to it. I imagine it's much like the writing on Mjolnir, but less cool. So the prophecy is basically, he who can pull this sword out is the one true king. I mean, pretty awesome, but still not as cool as getting the powers of a god. Scrawny Arthur, because I always envision the Disney version of him until he is crowned king, is like, dope, a sword, I want it. And what does he do? Walks up and pulls it out without knowing any of this. Word to the wise, don't pick up random swords. So here's Arthur dicking around with his new sword, and someone is like, bro, cool sword, where can I get one? And he's all, I don't know, fam, I pulled this out from a rock. And the person is like, wait, that rock over there? The only rock around here? The rock? Arthur,
that rock
is like,
over there, the rock that sits in the lake. Yes, that rock.
And that's how they found out that Arthur was the one true king and would lead them into prosperity or whatever it is kings are supposed to do. Historically, they just kind of fuck shit up.
So, like, was he like 12? Like in the Disney animated movie?
Yeah, he's like, I think it's like 8 or 9. Like, he was like a child. Disney animated.
All I'm saying is history is strewn with examples of why you don't have a child king.
Yeah, pretty much. So now that he is king, Arthur needs to gather support and fill the round table with people he trusts. This sends him out into neighboring kingdoms to speak with lords that were close to Uther. One particular king is King Leodegrance, He served with Uther and was even in charge of the Round Table during the kingless period after Uther's death. Leodegrance welcomes Arthur with open arms and is ready to make his alliance. Arthur is of course excited at this prospect because he is in desperate need to forge lasting relationships with other kingdoms. While visiting the king, Arthur meets his daughter, Guinevere. It is love at first sight and they're completely enamored with each other.
She's the worst.
Wait, why is she the worst?
We'll get to it.
You'll see. You'll see.
get to it.
Oh boy.
It seems like a perfect match. They love each other. They both need this alliance. What more is there to discuss? Leodegrance is over the moon that Arthur and his daughter are in love and is ready to wed them immediately. But Arthur decides to wait. King Leodegrance doesn't have much to offer him, and Arthur doesn't want to marry just for love. He wants it to benefit him in as many ways as possible. So they move on, leaving behind the promise that Arthur will return to wed the Lady Guinevere. Now, at this point, a lot happens, and it really doesn't matter in what order the events take place because it's just setting the stage for bigger moments later.
Mm-hmm.
So after Arthur leaves King Leodegrance in search of more allies, he goes kingdom hopping, and along the way picks up some knights for his round table. The knights of the round table.
King of the Britons.
Yeah.
Who knew you, King? All right, the Knights of the Round Table are like Arthur's secret service group. They travel with him, protect Camelot, and even have their own adventures. There is no real consensus on how many knights there were, but there are several who are the main ones. Do you guys want to take a guess at who those main ones are?
Well, I'm guessing
Lancelot.
Lancelot.
Galahad. Percival. There's a Patsy, but I know that's Camelot.
I want to say Sir Robin, maybe? Or am I making that up? Am I confusing that with Holy Grail?
That's Monty Python.
Okay.
The quest for the Holy Grail is a quest that some of the Knights of the Round Table do go on. So that is a thing. They just made it really funny and added a whole bunch of extra people that don't exist.
I think Patsy existed. Let's not give Patsy the short end of the stick. There's not to handle your coconuts.
There's nothing saying that there wasn't a brave Sir Robin either.
Kay, Bedivere, and Gawain are the longest serving members, followed by Lancelot, Percival, Tristan, and Galahad. In some versions, Mordred is also a knight, but it seems a little strange to me that Arthur would let him into his kingdom, knowing the prophecy that Merlin gave him about how his life is going to go. So I'm going to briefly cover the knights. Briefly. Because they are important, but this is about Arthur. So,
like we briefly covered shitty family history, which turns out was actually kind of sort of important. So.
Exactly, like it's setting the stage. Like you need to know the players, but some of the stuff is not necessary.
Yes.
Right. So Sir Kay is actually Sir Ector's son, which is why him and Arthur are such good friends. Sir Kay doesn't have like his own story like some of the other knights do, but he is literally in every single story about another knight. So he's in every story.
Got it.
Sir Bedivere plays a very minor role, but he is there during some battles Arthur has during his time as king, such as the fight against the giant. Do you guys want to hear about the giant?
Sure.
Giant. People were like 5 feet tall. The giant was only like 6.
Yeah.
So the giant is known as the Giant of Mont Saint Michael. And the story goes that there was a giant that walked through the sea from his home to the coast of England. He brought destruction with him and killed everyone who challenged him. He comes across the daughter of a duke and steals her away to his cave. Many knights go to challenge, but all die. The duke appeals to King Arthur, asking him to save his daughter. Arthur, along with Sir Kay and Sir Bedivere, head out to challenge the giant. There is an older woman on the island that holds the cave, and they find out that the giant has killed the daughter and buried her under stone. The woman is alive because the giant enjoys hearing her wailing. And this woman was like the nurse of this. I don't know what the daughter of the duke's title is. This lady.
So lady. No.
I don't know.
The Duchess is the wife. You're just lady until you marry.
Lady. Or like a dame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the knights come across the giant below a cliff they are on, and they launch at him, cutting into his face. Blood pouring down his face and into his eyes, the giant is unable to fight, and Arthur is able to kill the giant. They cut off his head to take it back as proof of their deed.
Gross.
Exactly. So that's Kay and Bedivere. Now, Sir Gawain is actually Arthur's nephew. Gawain is the son of King Lot, and Morgause, Arthur's half-sister. Sir Gawain is depicted as noble and pure, with a strong sense of morals and code that is sometimes his weakness as much as his strength. He has his own story called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight that is a beautiful poem and really shows all of these aspects of him. Big surprise, he's my favorite knight. So Tristan plays a role in the quest for the Holy Grail, and yes, this is the same Tristan from Tristan and Isolde. So if you've watched that movie,
I hate that movie.
Tristan.
What movie?
Tristan and
Isolde. Granted, I watched it once a long time ago, but it was very boring.
I'm not a fan of Tristan, but I'm a fan of Gawain. He's the best. All right, so Sir Lancelot is Arthur's most loyal knight and probably the most well-known of the Round Table. Lancelot has songs written about him, numerous stories beyond what the other knights have, and he plays a major role in Arthur's future. So we'll hear more about him soon.
Douche.
Sir Galahad is Lancelot's son and is one of the main players in the quest for the Holy Grail. I'm not going to go into the quest for the Holy Grail because it doesn't actually involve Arthur, but yeah. He is the purest knight at the table and in some ways mirrors Arthur. When he arrives at Camelot, there is one spot left at the Round Table for the greatest knight ever. The test to prove they are the greatest is to pull a sword from a stone, a task which no other knight has survived. Galahad does so easily and is thrown immediately into the quest for the Holy Grail. And obviously that's what happens with Arthur when he pulls the sword from the stone.
Right.
So then lastly, we have Sir Percival, son of King Pellinore, who is a friend of Arthur's, and those two meet while Pellinore is hunting the questing beast. Anyone want to take a guess on what the questing beast is?
Beast?
Is that like this Jabberwocky from Alice in Wonderland?
I was going to say, is it a boar?
Not too far off, actually.
Oh,
so the questing beast has the head of a snake, the body of a leopard, the haunches of a lion, and the feet of a hart, like a deer heart creature.
Hold on. 2 seconds.
You gotta visualize this.
Head of a snake. Okay.
The body of a leopard. Just the body, like the torso of a leopard. The haunches of a lion, so like his back end is a lion's, and then his feet are like a heart, like the deer elk heart.
You guys so tell that I used to be in Hartman.
Hold on. I have something. There we go.
Did you find a picture of it?
Yes, I did.
Too far off.
Wait, he's missing something.
Oh my god.
Hiss. He's like, as I'm drawing the body, I'm like, it kind of looks like a turtle.
That's funny.
So the name the questing beast comes from its roar, which is said to sound like 30 hunting dogs on a hunt, which is why they call it
Hiss.
Yeah, Hiss. The idea for this creature is that it is what the medieval Europeans thought of a giraffe to be. Yeah. So, like, I'm sure it's something that they had never really seen, so it's just kind of what they envisioned a giraffe to be. Makes a whole lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
So, in the quest for the Holy Grail, the beast actually, like, appears. He's part of the quest for the Holy Grail, which is why when you said Jabberwocky, I was like, that wasn't too far off, because in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, they meet the Jabberwocky. Anyways.
And a bunny.
Yeah, and the Vorpal Bunny. Now, when Percival first approaches Arthur and asks to join his knights, he is still a boy. He is told to go out, grow up, and try again later. Not one to back down from a challenge, he does this and returns to be knighted. Percival is the main character in the quest for the Grail. I wonder why. So with all of these knights gathered, Arthur finds himself in the company of King Lot and his beautiful wife, Morgause. He is instantly smitten and decides, much like his father, that he is a king and he can have whatever he wants. So he approaches Morgause at night, and the two have a on, neither knowing their true relationship as half-siblings. The night of sex leads to Morgause becoming pregnant and giving birth to Mordred. Arthur won't know of his birth until it is too late and everything is already set into motion. Now, just a quick note, in some versions of Arthurian legends, Merlin tells Arthur that he has this bastard child who's going to come and murder him. That's his future. So Arthur decides that he's going to cheat fate, and he demands that all children born on May Day be killed, which is the day that Mordred was born, to make sure that he dies. So he's just like, slaughter every kid ever born on this day. I don't want any of them to survive.
Wait. Arthur ordered this?
Yes, because Merlin tells Arthur that Mordred will kill him.
But, like,
that's how he dies.
Wouldn't he know who he slept with? Couldn't he have just, like, kept him in a tower, Rapunzel style, and waited for them to have babies and taken care of them? This seems like way too much work.
Yeah, this is not a version that I am familiar with, but when I was having one of my friends read over it, she mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I literally didn't know that this was a thing. What happened?
I've heard of him being warned, and this might come from the Mists of Avalon, where he's warned that somebody named Morgan or something like it was Morgan or Morgana, some version of that would be his death. But they didn't say that it was his child or anything like that.
It's like a little iffy on what version you read and like how much Merlin tells Arthur, because Merlin has, he has like thousands and thousands of prophecies. There's an entire book on the prophecies of Merlin. So you would think that he would have told Arthur had he known, but at the same time, that kind of like, you can't avoid prophecies.
At the same time, Merlin's kind of a douche. So,
as we will see.
If he's just like, nah, it's fake. I don't think he's anything.
So this killing of all of the children born on May Day is known as the May Day Massacre, and is actually compared to the biblical story of Moses in Egypt with killing the firstborn sons. So it kind of has like this parallel between the English version and the Christian religion. So Mordred, however, would survive this massacre in secret. So like Morgause hides the fact that her son is still alive named Mordred, and then will come back later to fulfill his destiny. Spoiler alert, Arthur dies.
I mean, that I think that's kind of given considering he's not alive anymore, but
well, we can get into whether or not he's alive or dead.
Yep, it's an interesting concept. All right, so gathering up these allies, Arthur takes another look at King Leo de Grace and decides that he is ready to seal the deal. He marries Guinevere and they live happily ever after.
Lies.
That was a good one.
No, they don't.
Well, Guinevere was in love with Arthur. Right. She had also caught the eye of a certain knight.
Of course she
did. Long curly hair. And knowing what kind of person Arthur was, the two tried their best to stay away, but it didn't work. They fell in love and had an affair behind Arthur's back. Who is this mysterious knight? Of course, it could only be Lancelot, Arthur's main man.
Lance a douche.
So this trope is actually very common in literature from this time. I believe the first writing is written somewhere between 11th and 13th century. And that being a love triangle with a woman in the middle in love with two other people that are both in love with her. And it's kind of like one of the main things that people remember about King Arthur is that he was in this love triangle with Lancelot. Love it.
Got it.
So,
I will go down in history. Or
right? Being a whore. All right, so some shit goes down in the kingdoms and war starts coming from everywhere and every angle. So Arthur and his men end up in battle with King Pellinore, and during the battle, Pellinore is slain. Remember, that is the father of Sir Percival, I believe. I say that, and then I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember. Anyway. It's too far up. I didn't write it down again. I'm pretty sure it's Sir Percival's father. So Pellinore is slain, and Arthur breaks the sword that he had from the stone. So when this happens, Merlin drops in to explain. Notice how he just like pops in at the most convenient time.
Of course he does.
That sword wasn't the real magical sword Excalibur. It's just a generic magical sword. Excalibur is actually in this lake, and Arthur needs to convince the Lady of the Lake to let him have it. So they journey to the lake, and Arthur is standing there like, where's this lady? And suddenly he hears a voice of a woman. Now Merlin, for all his seriousness, really likes to play jokes. So I'm sure Arthur thought that it was just another stupid joke, but decides to play along just in case.
It was Merlin in a wig.
I love it. He tells the lady that he is in need of a sword, Excalibur specifically. She tells him to get in the boat docked at shore and row to the middle of the lake. He does so, figuring if shit goes wrong, Merlin can just magic him to safety.
No. Nope. Nope.
So when he reaches the center, the lady tells him that she will give him the sword on one condition. When she comes to him for a favor, he will grant it, no questions asked. Don't take swords from Watery Tarts. Okay? Just putting that out there.
Just don't. Just don't.
So Arthur thinks this is suspicious and doesn't want to agree to such a vague request. Good job. He tries to get her to hand it over without the promise, but she won't budge. Finally, he agrees, and she tosses the sword from the water and into his boat. Shame, Arthur. Such a shame. When Arthur reaches land, Merlin tells him that while Excalibur is dope, the scabbard is the important part, and that while he has it in his possession, he will never bleed. Finally, something useful from Merlin. Thank you. So with Excalibur in hand, Arthur feels invincible and starts to go around squashing people and reigning over Camelot like he should be doing all along. During this period, the knights will come and go on their own adventures, including the quest for the Holy Grail, and we'll see the death of some of them. I'm not going to tell you who dies. Maybe another day. Lancelot and Guinevere are still going strong, and Arthur is dumb as fuck and has no idea. While holding court one day, Arthur sees someone he doesn't recognize. She is clearly there to address Arthur in the court, and when her turn comes, she steps up to speak. She introduces herself as Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, and has come to ask a favor of Arthur. This favor is for the head of a knight named Sir Balin. Now, Sir Balin is well known to Arthur, but he is not a member of the Round Table. He is instead a poor knight who was actually imprisoned in Camelot for a bit before being released for some weird crime. I think he stole something. So upon his release, a woman from Avalon had come to seek the purest knight to pull a sword from a scabbard so that she could take revenge. All the knights try and fail, leaving only Balin. He easily pulls the sword free, but it refuses to hand it back to her. The woman relents and lets him keep the sword, but warns him that doing so means he will kill his greatest friend and the person he loves most. Seriously, stop taking swords from random women.
So, is this his third random sword that he just happens upon? Would you stop to think perhaps I shouldn't take things that are just there? Like, if you're walking down the road, are you going to pick up this random sword, or are you going to go, might be cursed, and walk away?
No, never crosses his mind. Never crosses any of their minds.
Am I the only one that's worried about curses?
No.
No. It must just be me.
So
you are not the only one that's worried.
This is sort of a catalyst for the two families, as we will later see Sir Balin's family in a deadly feud with this water lady from Avalon's family. So Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, asks for the head of Sir Balin. And it's not something that Arthur can give her. She reminds him that he still owes her a favor for Excalibur, and while he agrees on that, he isn't about to behead a person for it.
Well, if those were her words, he could have had a bust commissioned and given her a bust of his face. It's his head.
So Nimue... No, why would they? So Nimue explains that Balin killed her brother, and she will only accept his head or the head of the woman who brought about her father's death. Sir Balin, in attendance, hears the story and realizes that he has found the woman who caused his mother to be burned at the stake, probably for sleeping around because this is medieval England. So Sir Balin steps up and takes the sword and beheads Nimue, to everyone's surprise. Seeing what he has just done, he panics, picks up her head, and flees. I'm like, this is like some Perseus and Medusa shit right here. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna panic, so I'm gonna pick up her head and run with it.
We've got one guy who is obsessed with collecting random weaponry he finds out there, and then we have another person who just takes that.
He just takes heads.
You know, like capture it later, feed it, plant it, and hope it grows a person.
Right, put it in a bag to like pull out later to blind your enemies. Like, I don't know what he was gonna do with this head. I literally have no idea. No idea.
Terrible images.
All right, we'll move on. So Sir Balin, will eventually meet his end and will kill his brother, which is the person that he loved most and was his best friend. Go figure. All right. So after the quest for the Holy Grail, so we're going to fast forward a little bit and skip past the quest for the Holy Grail, Lancelot and Guinevere have started to have a more brazen relationship, caring little to keep it a secret. How Arthur doesn't find out is
arrogance.
It is an entire mystery. Like, I literally have no idea how he goes.
Arrogance. Who could ever cheat on the great King Arthur? That's why he's so dumb.
All right. So enter Morgan Le Fay, Arthur's half-sister and sworn enemy of Guinevere. You didn't think I'd leave her out, did you? No. So Guinevere and Morgan have several encounters leading up to this moment, and most of them end in Morgan's defeat. In front of the court, Morgan tells Arthur about his secret love affair between his wife and best friend, and she brings witnesses. Girl after my own heart.
The whole court.
So, yeah. So Agravian and Mordred are brought forward to explain what they have seen. We know who Mordred is. Agravian is his brother. So as the details come out, Arthur is torn between anger and grief. He has been betrayed by Lancelot and with his own wife. Lancelot, fearing Arthur's anger, flees the kingdom. Smart man. For a teeny bit. So with Lancelot gone, Arthur turns his attention to Guinevere and sets her to burn at the stake for this crime. He can punish only one of them, though he would prefer it to be Lancelot, but he's not there. So he tells the Knights of the Round Table to guard her pyre on execution day because he knows that Lancelot will come back to save her. All of the knights agree but one, Sir Gawain. He will have no part of this and is not actually present for the execution, which will kind of come up later. So as predicted, Lancelot appears just before they light the pyre, and because these are his brothers, he doesn't get much resistance from the knights. The men he brought with him do not fare as well, but he doesn't care much as he frees Guinevere and the two are able to flee Camelot and ride for France. So when this battle is over, Gawain finds his brothers dead at the hands of Lancelot's men. Outraged, he pushes Arthur to follow Lancelot until Arthur finally gives in and gathers his army to lay siege to Lancelot's keep. So just before they set out, who should come riding back? Guinevere. Guinevere comes riding back to beg forgiveness from her husband, and Arthur accepts her back and is convinced that she wasn't really willing in the affair. Lancelot took advantage of her. So he doesn't want to leave Guinevere unguarded, so he leaves some men behind and Mordred. I've mentioned a lot about Merlin and his prophecies, but haven't actually said any of them. And then, if you're feeling inclined, there is literally an entire book called The Prophecies of Merlin. It's nice. Stupid shit. Like, Farmer's Almanac stupid. Like, it's ridiculous.
My mom swears by the Farmer's Almanac. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I did actually, look through some of it because I know that there is a specific prophecy for it, but I wanted, the exact wording and literally could not find it anywhere. So the gist of the prophecy about Arthur is that Arthur will become king and rule Camelot. He will be betrayed by his closest friend and will go to war against his son Mordred. He will slay Mordred, but in the battle, he will be mortally wounded. He will enter Avalon until Camelot is ready for her king again. So with this type of prophecy looming over him, why Arthur leaves Guinevere with Mordred, I have no idea. But he does. And it goes exactly how you would imagine it does. With Arthur riding to France, no one is around to stop Mordred from claiming himself king and taking over Camelot. When word of this reaches Arthur, he pulls a Yui, flips off Lancelot in France, and rides home. That's how I imagine it goes. They're just like riding and just like a U-turn, just like fuck you, and then just goes home. That's how it goes. So Mordred isn't giving up the throne that easy, and he rides out to meet Arthur with an army of his own. They enter battle, and they are going all out. People are dying, horses are throwing off their riders in an attempt to flee, ground is covered in weapons, blood, corpses, you name it. So Mordred and Arthur find each other, and they start this epic duel to the death. With Excalibur, Arthur is unbeatable, but he gets cocky, and he ends up losing the scabbard. Unable to find it, Mordred is able to mortally wound the king before he himself is slain. Arthur is prepared to meet his fate and die on the battlefield when Merlin!
Where's he been this whole time? Checking out the ladies of Avalon?
Exactly. So Merlin appears, and he takes Arthur to the lake where the Lady of the Lake was, and places him in the boat with Morrigan. Why she's still around, I don't know, who says that she will take him to Avalon to heal his wounds. And that's kind of where Arthur meets his fate. Like, we don't know if he survived or if he didn't. Avalon is kind of this like mystical island where time doesn't really work the same. It's full of all these witches and wizards, and that's why Morgan's there. So like, I guess he could still be alive and in this like weird time vortex.
Well, I don't know if you'd call it a prophecy per se, but like I can't say they believe it, but supposedly King Arthur will come back from Avalon and ride again when at England's greatest need or something like that.
Yep. And
that's why it's like, is he dead? My teacher told me, because when I was over there, that's when I first heard about that. My teacher told me that the thought is he's sleeping.
Yeah, like Avalon is like this weird, like time doesn't pass place. So he's just kind of like there healing his wounds because he didn't actually like die in the battle. He was just grievously injured. So it's this weird mythical type magic thing, but there are some versions of the story where they're just like, no, he just fucking died on the battlefield. Like, we're not leaving it up to chance. So yeah, what did you guys think?
It's one of my favorites.
I think it's very good. There was actually a lot covered, honestly, and I
know my shit.
One, don't listen to your wizard friends.
Don't trust Watery Tarts.
Don't trust Watery Tarts.
Don't go picking up a random sword.
Random swords.
Yeah. Just.
So then, my question is, what's your favorite rendition of King Arthur? Like book, movie, television.
So, I don't have just one. I actually have a nice long list of my recommendations. So before I get into my recommendations, I will go with my resources, if you will. So if you're interested in the books that I use for resources, they are literally the like go-to canon Arthurian legend books, and that is the Historia Britannium by Ninesius and the Morte Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. Highly recommend you read the abridged version of those because they boring book. I ain't gonna lie. But they are considered like the source for all thing Arthurian. They set up everything for the legend.
So when you say long book, are we talking like War and Peace long? Or are we talking...
So the copy of Le Morte d'Arthur that I have is unabridged. It's the English because it's originally in French. It's written in the 13th century, so it's like, I mean, it's one of the originals.
Very nice.
And it's like 900 pages long.
Holy shit.
It is long, but it is the entire story, start to finish. It goes into like.
It's as long as this. This is
what?
It's this long.
That's not bad. No,
this is about 900 pages.
Okay, that's not bad then.
It's pretty long.
16.
Yeah, the Historia Britannium is like a collection. It's like a volume of stories. And it's the original story of Arthur is found in that, and then Thomas Mallory came along later and kind of like expanded upon it, threw in the knights, gave him like his dad some backstory, that sort of thing. So it's like, but those are like the two official.
So I guess my question is, ultimately at the end of this, was Arthur an actual person, or
So I didn't really want to get into this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's a great question.
It is a highly debated question.
Mhm.
There are people that sit on both sides of it. There are references in the stories to like real life places, to real things. They like, believe that they know kind of where the location of Camelot was, what was probably the inspiration for Avalon. But to say whether he was a real person or not is kind of like asking if Jesus Christ was a real person. Like, there probably was somebody by the name of Jesus who was the son of Mary and Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
But whether historically he existed or if it's just religious is kind of debatable.
Actually, I feel like Jesus is more accurate because he is one of the most documented people historically outside of religion. So there's not really a doubt that Jesus existed. But there's a lot of doubt about Arthur.
There is, but then there's also like because like a lot of the battles that I just kind of skimmed over, like they have names. They were actual battles that occurred like in the 400 and 500s.
Mm-hmm.
So, like they were things that existed. We mentioned like the Saxons and the Britons. It's unknown because they didn't have like a recorded history.
I was told once that the most common belief was that he's a combination of many different people, like the stories are a combination of many different people, and that it's likely there was somebody that was a King Arthur at the time, but not that everything would be attributed to that one person.
Yeah.
There actually was a King Arthur in the 1500s, the older brother of Henry VIII. He existed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the same King Arthur, though.
No, not the same. No.
But I believe he was named for
King Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah. So real quick, I'll go through my recs. These are my recommendations. So my favorite pieces. This is going to cover music, musicals, movies, TV shows, everything. I covered it all.
Please tell me Holy Grail is in there because that's like the piece de resistance for
You'll
Arthur.
see. I think there's like 11 or 12 recommendations.
Oh dear God!
Some of them
there's
are
a lot
talked about.
of King Arthur stuff out there.
When I said in the beginning that he is probably one of the most well-known literary figures, I am not joking.
Mm-hmm.
The only literary figure that's like not in any way religious or anything like that I can think of that is more well-known but not well-known in America would be the story of Gilgamesh. And that is because that is one of the first recorded pieces of literature ever. Like, it is the OG story.
Yeah.
Which I will eventually do for you guys.
Yay.
Anyway,
I have to figure what I'm going to do.
In the TV show Legends of Tomorrow, which I fucking love, everyone should watch it, there is an episode called Camelot where they visit, you guessed it, Camelot. There is a poem by Alfred Tennyson called The Lady of Shalott that I have talked about so fucking much to Rachel that she's probably sick of hearing about it.
No.
Because the beautiful, amazing Celtic singer Lorena McKennitt does a version of it. She puts the poem to music, and it is absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Oh, neat.
Oh my God. Fucking love it. Her and that song is actually what got me into King Arthur.
Aww.
Anyway. Oh, it's beautiful. And then, of course, you have Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Never forget them. So a different take on the
Question about Monty Python.
Yes.
The movie or Spamalot the musical?
I did not include Spamalot the musical.
They're different, but also kind of the same. That's why
I have not actually seen Spamalot, so I did not include it on here. I
have not seen Spamalot either, and I want to see it.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail with extra songs.
Yeah, like I do really want to see it.
It's amazing, and if you can find a bootleg copy, It's not going to be playing anytime soon. I highly, highly recommend. I like it better than the movie.
Is the BB show Merlin, which
Okay.
is more focused on Merlin, but he doesn't do any time travel, and he's the same age as Arthur, and it's their start to finish of him being with them.
Is that a recent one?
It's like 2003, 2006, somewhere in there. R.I.P. John Hurt, because John Hurt does the voice of one of the dragons, and he's the narrator. My baby.
He was also the doctor.
I know. And he recently passed away, R.I.P. So in the anime Fairy Tale, my absolute favorite character is the character Excalibur, which is the most annoying fucking weapon ever, and he's based on the sword Excalibur. And he does not shut up, and he is I fucking love him. He's fantastic. So I had to put him in there. We kind of talked about it, but Disney has the movie The Sword in the Stone that follows Arthur through his life under Sir Ector, and it ends with him pulling the sword from the stone. The Mists of Avalon we also mentioned. That was a book later turned into a miniseries that I have not seen since I was like 10.
It's one of my all-time favorite.
What was the movie? Because it was with King Arthur, but who was the character that played it? You know the one, I think you know the one that I'm talking about.
Are you talking about the movie called King Arthur with Keira Knightley?
Yes, that one.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that one.
No, that doesn't exist. But the Mists of Avalon. So like that movie, King Arthur tried to do a more Celtic version of it, and they did it wrong. The Mists of Avalon actually does that sort of same thing. They try to keep it more Celtic, more realistic, and they do it well.
Okay.
And I found that movie my freshman year of college in the $5 movie bin and bought it without knowing anything about it. So if you get a chance to watch it. It's long, but it's really good. They did such a great job of it.
Yep. So there is a independent artist who goes by the name Carly Yin, who does a couple of albums that are actually all about the Queen Guinevere. Which is kind of interesting because it's her version of her retelling of what happens under King Arthur. It's kind of interesting. Heather Dale is another one. She's a Celtic artist who has an amazing song called Mordred's Lullaby, which is Morgause singing a lullaby to Mordred about how shitty his father is.
I think you sent me that one, actually.
I probably have.
I think you have.
A good song. Yeah. There is also a musical called Camelot about Camelot. And then my last honorable mention is going to be the story that actually got my brother into King Arthur, which is A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which is an old short story.
Aww.
Diana, you look like you've never heard this before.
Look, I haven't heard that, but I've seen A Kid in King Arthur's Court, which is what that sounded like at first. I was like, wait a minute, that's not what she said. Kid in King Arthur's Court.
I believe that is based on A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
I'm gonna have to go watch that.
Yeah. It's a story, like a Mark Twain or something. I don't know. It's like an old story. But yeah, that is all about just King Arthur.
I'm so sad you did not mention the 90s miniseries starring what's his face? I never know his name from Jurassic Park.
Jeff Goldblum?
No. No, the scientist. It's called Merlin.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Jeff Goldblum. Lord. He was the worst Merlin. No, I'm pretty sure.
Jeff Goldblum would be an amazing Merlin. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my!
It needs to happen.
The guy from Jurassic Park, and now I'm questioning myself. But it's a miniseries. I think it was 2 or 3 episodes long. It's like 6 hours long, I think. But it's got Morgan Le Fay as a fairy in it.
I did not mention it, no, but I do know what you're talking about.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
And then
I know what you're talking about.
There's a Sean Connery movie as well that I really enjoy.
Oh my god.
There are a lot of King Arthur movies, and there's a reason that most of them did not get mentioned.
Got it. Is it because they're just that poopy?
So there is this excellent one that I recommend only because I really love watching like C and D rated movies. They're fantastic. They're fucking hilarious. There's one from like 2017 or 2018 about King Arthur, but it's like in modern time they've been reincarnated and it involves fucking mechas. Like, there are mechas.
Oh my god.
Wasn't there another King Arthur movie recently that had the kid from Kingsman in it? And it was so confusing because their costumes were a weird mix of modern and medieval, and it was bad. It was really bad. It was really
Yeah.
And then another television show, and it was called Merlin. It had Ava Green in it. She played
no idea.
Morgana. It was so good. It's the first time I ever saw her as an actor. It had one season because the things I love don't make it past the season. But
as you can tell, there are so many versions of King Arthur.
Maybe either next week or the week after, maybe we can do the next one. I was thinking of doing Irish fairy tales, specifically Unseelie Court, and maybe focusing it closer to changelings, because changelings are the best, but you've got to know more about fairies to talk about changelings. I
say go for it.
I just don't know how much I'll be able to get out of it, or maybe I'll just wind up on a tangent of my favorite Irish fairy tales. I don't know.
There you go. It's fun. So
episode 1 is a wrap.
Woohoo!
Yay! And then episode 2, Irish fairy tales.
Yay!
Do we have a moral to this story?
Yeah, don't pick up random fucking swords.
It's a good moral.
Not a single person who picked up a sword has a good ending. Every single one of them fucking dies.
Yeah, no one loses a sword for no reason. Like, that sword is there because, like, the owner died and now it's on the side of the road. It's cursed, and the person who originally had it knew it was cursed and got rid of it. Like, you don't pick up random swords.
Swords are stuck for a reason. Let them stay stuck.
Exactly.
Especially if they're in a stone, because that's unusual.
Yep.
There were 2 stuck in a stone, for the record.
So, okay.
All right.
Swords in stones, though.
Yeah, don't pick up swords from Watery Tarts. That's our lesson.
Okay. See you next time.